Where there's a will, there's an Elfaria. Always there by your side, but technically from afar. That is willing to make an oopsies right into your hand. It's a short episode, but we get a little mini surprise at the beginning that expands upon the scene between Queen Mercedes and a familiar dwarf to save the world with wand and sword. While being short, it delivered everything we could have asked for with our MC, Will Serfort of Albis, demolishing everyone's already low expectations and shattering prejudice by being a literal prophecy. The fifth element, the primeval key that set the world in motion, as written in the lore. Spoiler warning, there may be some light spoilers about future arcs, but stay anyways because you can't help yourself. This episode of Wistoria, Wand and Sword, Season 2, Episode 4, or Episode 16 overall, Soshite Hajimaru Monogatari, covers Chapter 27, The World's Ode, or Chapter 28, An Aria from the World, and it covers Chapter 28, Thus Begins the Tale, or Chapter 29, The Story Begins. White hair, electricity. What kind of gear do you think you're in, buddy? This episode really was a short one, but it added something very intriguing that built upon Chapter 19, or Episode 12, of what looks to be the start of the lineage of Wand and Sword, with the baby being given to none other than Finn. After significant insight into Finn and Will's powers in Chapter 62, it seems like the anime gave us quite the treat for manga fans as well. Something about a doomsday clock, something about the celestial stairway being sealed temporarily, and that the celestial host will eventually abominate the world. Mercedes and Finn made a pact that he would be the one to help develop the fifth element to save them from the world with Wand and Sword. The mysteries about Finn really were confusing for a very long time in the manga, but the scene that was not in Chapter 27 really is a big spoiler as to its connection to the entire lore of Wistoria. In Chapter 62, he basically confirmed he's over 500 years old, even though in Chapter 27 or Chapter 28, there were context clues that he is like 500 years old, at least, because of that confirmed flashback scene of that guy being Finn. But in Chapter 62, it basically explained Will's purpose, and this anime scene really confirmed Finn existed during the time with Mercedes. Another anime-only scene with Finn continues, with him wondering what really will come from Will's journey from the pact that the Mage Queen and himself made. This is where the anime opener begins, and I think everyone was surprised as to how this episode started, as being between Mercedes and Finn. It didn't really explain further into the frames about Elfie, as that still remains a great mystery of the entire lore and story. But having extra context like this is what makes the anime a little bit more intriguing story-wise over the manga. After letting anime and manga fans eat with the real threat of Mercedes sounding like a baddie, filling her up with sword juices to help produce the world's savior, another filler is needed to round out this episode. So run that entire end of the scene of the previous episode back. With Mageblade Whis, Will is ready to take over as that guy. Did they really put a random sword sound effect right there? Will rushes the Devander and sends them flying through multiple buildings to central flows. The NPC wants Headmistress Calderon to evacuate, but she got something bubbly up her sleeve. What carried those aqualum? I guess being old and wrinkly, or not, doesn't mean you have common sense, as magic still doesn't work on the Devander. However, coming out is a silhouette of none other than him. You know what it is when you're at your peak, ready to climax all over this monster. You must drop a badass line like, not the cliche one, but come. An immense amount of power collides, creating a rumble in the city center that everyone else can feel. The earth-shattering vibrations over. Julius, Lihanna, and Wignall are astounded at the fact that Will is him, and that he's fighting a Manga vendor killer all by himself. I'm with Julius. Why is everyone running like ninjas? And he's running like he has no magical swag. Even Edward Sensei can't believe that Will Serfort is that guy. Him. You hear these sounds? It's the vibrational heartbeat of a man that is ready to take on the whole world with this lone sword against a brain dead beast. That's your man. They should nickname him Himzo Ningen. Clary falls to the ground and asks about the kid that Edward Sensei has been being a gigantic dick to this entire time. Renace and Horwa look on in all too at Will's fight, as Emma also wants to help Will, but is stopped by Palm. Magic just doesn't have an effect on the monster. They'll only get in the way, and that is obviously the guy everyone here has been making fun of for being a laggard. How can they show their shameless faces? All of their faces are filled with regret. But where there is a will, there are always regrets you can undo. And most heroic of pronouns is him. He is the one that saved their lives. Will is still out there fighting to his death to save the lives that called him a no talent. Maybe it's too late to say things to make yourself feel better or to even change anything. But where there's a will, there is belief that there is something that they can still do. Ike! Will's #1 fan cheers on ya boy with the side chick following suit. When you ain't shit, make sure to cheer on the ones that are, because that's the least you can do to contribute to humanity's morale. They even added Kiki in the anime, because we know pussy cats are the best motivators for a man. After being backstabbed, the anime also added that Edward Sensei doesn't want to leave the battle to the magic list, but Sarah is there to let him know that now is the time to believe in your student. Everyone, whether they supported or bullied Will, is there to cheer him on, because everyone is Team Humanity. Iris is perplexed because she thought everyone was prejudiced. Will, back in his inner dialogue, that it was so painful being called a Mimosha and having your girl ripped away from you. Being shunned and mocked would lead one to despise the world, and yet, at the end of the day, everyone will have to accept him. Who cares if these cheers may be temporary? It's for the people of the world that still gave him the strength to want to protect it. He shall protect all pronouns, they, them, and all by him. Will makes an attempt to slash down the monster with his Moria sword, but it snaps in half. Is it even possible that monsters can grin? After Reivew and Elfair were all taught that they will go out there to do something, it might finally be time for one particular Manga vendor to make her move, not only for the world, but for her man that means the world. Him, Will Serfort, Albis Vina. With Will's sword becoming 2 pieces, everyone is freaking out about the sword's advantage over a magically immune monster. Will gets knocked back and slides right in front of a column. Once again, it's the footsteps of a woman with conviction. Carriot tries to stop Elfair to not leave the room, but she simply is not. She's just going to watch from outside the window, right outside the tower, where Elfie makes an oopsie and releases an Albis Vina specialty and lets her hand slip of an ice sword all the way down like a missile, where one could mistake that thing for a weapon. But Will recognizes Elfie's magic from anywhere, if it is hostile or not, and this gigantic sword that totally won't crush him becomes something more. It is everything the title, the story, the lore was all meant to be. Will lifts up his sword where Elfie's sword landed, that created an incredible explosion to obtain Fully charged, primed Albis Whis. Sion recognizes this move right away, like when they fought against the Grand Duke, but everyone is confused because magic shouldn't work against the defender. But when you are him, the laws of nature bend to you, conjuring something new into the world that one doesn't think should exist. Will can feel it. His sword is pumping with blood, and there's nothing that anyone can do to stop him. When wand and sword are combined, lives are saved. Will slashes the defender and his arm becomes frozen and turned into shards of ice. Everyone is beyond disbelief that Will's magic, or is it magic, bypassed even a mage slayer. Whis, the mage blade. Marze comes back into the fold to deliver all of your villainous cliche lines. No way, man. How can you cut through the sleeve? It shouldn't be possible, but that damn kid did. Who the hell is he? He's him. That isn't quite the magic everyone was assuming it would be, as Eleanor looks on, as Zio is laughing his brains out, and Carriot mentions in his head what they just witnessed. It is the fifth source, the fifth element, the beginning of our world, as told in the prophecy, the key of origin. Old King seems to have thought that Finn might actually have found the right one that can achieve Whis, the Mage Queen's vow of the wand and sword. Will rushes to attack and evades a swing to land back on the side of the building, running on the walls, and is met with a dark blast. But Will is ready for it to deliver a counter filled with ice. The defender delivers a Crush Lewis special, but the power of Albis Whis is just too much. Everything around him is just crackling in ice, and everyone is witnessing in awe of this overwhelming display of raw power. Unfortunately for Colette, it is almost as Albis Vina herself is fighting alongside Will together as one. Marze tells the Headless One to do the thing being more monster reinforcements coming out of the gates to crush them all. But it is just no problem to an Albis Vina alongside him. They can do it all. Will punctures the ground with the sword to unleash Overload Full Burst El Glace Frace L7 Florzel Caldinia. What the hell do all these words mean? As the Headless One and Marze are in distraught. It means it is the end. Will and Alfaria's ice takes out each monster one by one, turning everything into ice shards. He lengthens his sword to deliver the very last blow, turning it into pieces. All the monsters, including the defender, are now defeated, and everyone that used up all of their magic get to feel what Will had to endure all of his life when he felt useless, but now with the relief and belief in others. Everyone screams and cheers except Workner Sensei. How the hell is he even alive? Finn is ecstatic because they just witnessed humanity's last and only hope pass with flying colors. He apologizes to Mercedes for making her wait for a mere 500 years. The prologue may have been a bit long, but it is over. And you, Fall Sky Celestial host, the story of Wistoria, Wand and Sword begins now. Sorry if I keep repeating myself because the algorithm isn't exactly helping me either, but read the manga and read both versions. The artwork is just a different kind of amazing, and the delivery is just slightly different, if not better than the anime. This is the kind of art that really showcases how good the animation could get, or how bad it could get. There is a major Magia vendor fight coming up, and I'm hoping that it's not a Meliodas versus Escanor situation. So if we just get anything like Will against the vendor, I'm okay with that. I think the anime does do a great job at like adding context and trying to build up these other characters. Sure, when they fight, it is pretty damn good, but it's about everything else that make you appreciate the story more. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode, and let me know what you guys thought about the manga if you read it as well. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.